It is almost June, and for this month's bujo, we're doing a magical strawberry moon theme with a calendar, mood tracker, and more. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell, and it's time for our June plan with me. I'm working in my Archer and Olive notebook as usual. If you missed our 2021 setup, I say this every month, but you can always go back and watch the other months. For May, our theme was apple blossoms, and y'all know I love a good black and white cover page, so we were getting back to some Shayda basics in May. A few things to note about this video. I am shooting this basically at the very beginning of May. I shot it when I was 9 months pregnant. I just wanted to make sure I got this video done, and I am recording the voiceover closer to the end of May, and I now have a brand new baby, which is amazing. And I know you're going to say, oh, you shouldn't have done a video, but I love doing these bujo videos, and I didn't want you to miss out. With that said, if you love this content, like, subscribe, comment, and if you really want to show me some love, you can share this with a friend, share with your community. Okay? That would mean so much to this new mama. Anyways, let's talk about our strawberry moon cover. So it's a Dutch door as usual, started by just tracing a circle and drawing a little basket underneath. And then here's how the illustration comes together. I kind of did some curving lines going out of that basket, and I just drew a bunch of little ovals along the lines. And then you can see me kind of tucking leaves and little flower shapes in there as well. I want it to look like this wild this basket bursting with these wild little tiny strawberries and their leaves and vines and the little white strawberry blossoms. So yours doesn't need to look exactly like mine. Just do those curving lines going up towards the round moon, down towards the basket, and then cover the lines with the little ovals. Those are your berries, and simply add in the little flowers and leaves to frame the small strawberries. So there is my berry illustration pretty much done. We'll put some circles on the left side of the moon to indicate craters and texture. And then I'm going to write strawberry moon. That's the name of the full moon in June. If you didn't know, we're going to write that there, and then the June title at the bottom. Let's talk color really quickly. I have a couple of Tombow brush markers here, some reds and pinks, or burgundies and pinks, couple burgundies and pinks from my Faber-Castell markers, and then I have a mustard yellow, a navy blue, warm gray, and a walnut brown. So let's get into the colors for the moon. We're using these really light pinky colors to make our strawberry moon. So that's where we're going to start. Head over to the blog to get all the marker colors and supply links. But I'm starting with that pink from Faber-Castell. I'm just going to color in the entirety of this circle that I traced. That's our base for our nice pink strawberry moon. Then I'm taking this really light Tombow, and it looks like it would be like an ivory color, but it actually is a rosy pink, a really nice pastel pink. We'll add that on the left side of the moon. And let's just leave that there for now, actually. And then I'm going to grab these 4 markers, and these are my strawberry colors. So you can see I've got 3 different reddish pinks and then like an ivory. And that ivory is going to be really nice for kind of those white berries. Starting with this really cool cherry red, then I'll do some pink berries, then I'll do some little white berries. Gotta have the white berries, the underripe. And then that darkest color, that is what I'm using to put the seeds on the red berries. Then I use the red to mark seeds on the pink berries, and then I use my warm gray to mark seeds on the white berries. So kind of always going with the color that's just slightly darker than that of the berry itself, and we get these pretty seeds. I'm filling in all the leaves and vines with that dark navy blue. It's always fun. I do this often, and you've probably seen me do it before. This is my old trick. It's just fun to change up your green. Everybody expects you to do green leaves and vines, but you can always change that, and it gives your drawing, your cover page, a really nice illustrative quality. Finally, we've got those little white areas where we're placing blossoms. I did the center of the flower yellow, and then I'm using the warm gray to just kind of I don't know, draw the petals in. It's pretty basic, but it makes it look like, yeah, there are some little flowers there. And the yellow center, and as I said, the warm gray for the seeds on the underripe berries. Now we come in with those two browns that were in my color palette, and we're going to make a basket weave basket. So I am just doing these vertical lines first, thick vertical lines with little spaces in between. And then I kind of make like a little checkerboard pattern with the same color. That's the same color brown. It's just darker where I've added extra. Then I take this walnut brown from Faber-Castell and I add some horizontal lines on my checkerboard and then some little vertical lines. And that's how I'm giving that basket weave look. I did decide at the end that my flowers kind of needed a little more oomph. They were sort of like, what is that? Those blobs. So I'm just using a gray pen, Le Pen, to go around each flower and add just a contour drawing basically. And I traced the white strawberries as well. And I even added a few details like lines and veins to some of the blue leaves. Okay, there we go. And then I am going over my Strawberry Moon title with that same Le Pen gray. And finally, I'll finish my illustration simply by tracing over my June title. And I am using the 04 Moloto black liner for that. So it's got a nice weight. Now, as usual, I cut out my Dutch door. I just did a nice straight cut and then went around the illustration carefully as possible. And of course, we'll add our calendar down here on the left of the page underneath. So I'm just going to mark that in quickly and we'll go over that with a Moloto black liner as well. Typically, I'm using just the 02 and the 04. The 02 for some of the smaller stuff like numbers, and the 04 gives a nice weight to some of the titles, like this is what I'm doing here, the goals. And focus for me means affirmations. So that's just a nice sort of month at a glance, and it's tucked away under my Dutch door cover page. I'd like to take a moment to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They offer thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including design, photography, watercolor painting, and so much more. This is for lifelong learners, whether you're a beginner or a pro, a dabbler, a master, it doesn't matter. There's a class for you. Most classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project. They have classes that will fit into your schedule and skill level. Most of them come in under 60 minutes with short lessons that fit your lifestyle. And right now, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity. So we kind of prettied up our month at a glance underneath by just doing a really whimsical loose illustration of those wild strawberries. The color palette is the same. I'm going to use that light pink from the Dutch door cover page to just highlight my days of the week. And that's it. We've got our beautiful Strawberry Moon Dutch door. All of our goals and affirmations are tucked away underneath, and then we have our little calendar as well. Next up, we're doing a calendar page, and this is a pretty good size calendar. As usual, I've drawn out my grid in pencil, and then what do? We just pull the pen towards our body, so you don't have to use a ruler unless you like a ruler, then go for it. But I do not like a ruler, and pulling that pen towards me helps me keep it steady, so I get these nice, like straight-ish lines. Doing the June title at the top, little notes section underneath. Let's put all our days of the week in, and that's that. So simple calendar comes together really easily. Now all I want to do is add some decoration across the top and then do kind of like a little icon of another moon on the left-hand side of the page. And that's where we're going to start. I erased my illustration so we can do it together. I am just tracing my washi tape, and you just move it over, and that's how you get that nice crescent moon shape. So a washi tape happens to be, I think, the perfect size usually to do these little tiny circular illustrations. I'm using that ivory color, or I think this is like the lightest warm gray, to do the moon, and then adding a few little craters with the other warm gray, the darker warm gray. Remember, all the marker colors are listed on the blog. And then I don't want to bore you too much with this because I'm using the same colors. That's the nice thing. Once you develop a color palette and kind of decide what you're going to illustrate, you can just change it up. And in that way, creating your bujo illustrations becomes really fun because you're not like reinventing everything every time you flip the page. You're working with the same colors and just having a bit of fun changing the design slightly. So you get to be imaginative without kind of reworking everything, if that makes sense. Like here, I'm using the blue for the night sky. So I have used the lighter brown for the leaves. So just making those quick, simple little changes. I used my white gel pen to add stars to my night sky, and then I'm using the Moloto black liner to add a nice sketchy black line, and it kind of finishes off the illustration in a really nice way. A few extra leaves were added in there, that kind of thing. And then same thing up here. I'm just doing a couple berries, a couple little pink flowers, and again, sticking with my blue leaves. If you enjoy these videos and you want to support the channel, there is something you can do that does not cost you a thing, and that is to simply hit the subscribe button. And if you really want to go all out, share this. Share it on your Instagram stories or on your Facebook. Tell people that this is a channel that you love and maybe that you think they might like too. That means so much to me, and it won't cost you a penny. I am using my Tombow marker in pink here to just add a little section for notes down below. Dividing up your space like that really creates a fun area where you can put notes or dates, appointments, that kind of thing. And then that is my calendar spread all done. This strawberry moon layout is coming together really well. Let's just take a peek. We've got our Dutch door, so just a fun illustration, then our goals and affirmations, then a simple calendar page. I'm gonna skip a page for the mood tracker, and I wanna do the weekly layout. Now, this weekly layout is one that I go back to again and again, especially when I know I'm not gonna be like super into journaling. And right now it's summer, I have a brand new baby. I just want something that's achievable, and a lot of what I'm doing this month is just like super quick and simple. And I think there's so much value in that. We don't always want like a super in-depth, complicated, complex journal layout, right? Especially the weekly, because you're creating 4 or 5 of them throughout the month. So you can see me dividing the page up here into equal sections. So I've got 3 sections on each side. It'll be a 2-page weekly spread. And then we're going to create a large margin in the middle of the 2 pages. I'll erase those lines, and that is where I'm going to put like a really simple illustration. So there's my basic weekly layout. That's how it begins. I did have kind of a little too much space at the bottom, so I always end up doing this. I just move everything down 1, and that's a simple enough fix. Now everything is a little bit more centered on those pages. And then we're going to write in our days of the week, just ignoring those upper lines because we'll erase them. Below the day of the week, I simply place the date, and then of course we'll go over everything in pen. And I like to use the 04 or 5 nib in a fine liner. I think just gives a nice weight to these kind of titles. And that's how it looks kind of when it's all laid out. So super easy and simple once you actually just count everything out and make sure it's even. And then in the center, just to zhuzh it up a little bit, I'm going to do an illustration. But again, I just want it to be really achievable and something I can create quickly, so that I have a bit of color and a design element, but it's not like taking me forever. So I just basically grab a marker color, could be any color, and I create these flowers that are made of 4 or 5 petals to give me a look of a little bit of depth. I tend to make the petals towards the bottom of the page a little shorter. Some of the flowers are smaller, and that gives a nice contrast of size. Some are larger, some are just like a little heart shape, almost indicating a bud. And then of course I take my black fine liner, and we're just going to add in all the details. So we've done a 1 color flower. Maybe we'll add in a little bit more shading, but for now that's fine. We're going to trace around these flowers. We're going to add some dots and lines at the center to indicate the stamen, and we'll also add some stems. So it really comes together. All you have to do is take 1 color, make a bunch of flowers of different sizes, cluster them together in the margin here, and then we're going over everything with our black pen, adding in lots of detail, and just, making this really simple illustration come to life. If you want to be extra, you can take a slightly darker marker color and add some shading near the center of the flowers, like I've done there with a darker brown. Make sure there's a nice burst of leaves all around our flowers, and that is our extra easy, baby-friendly weekly layout. Last thing I want to do together is a mood tracker. I think this will be especially good for me. I did one back in March when I was like 30 weeks pregnant, and it was helpful to kind of see how I was feeling. And I think being sort of like a couple weeks postpartum, it's also good for me to track my mood and my energy levels and anxiety and that kind of thing. So this extra easy mood tracker is made up of 4 weeks. So it's going to have 4 floral shapes. And each day of each week is represented by a petal or a leaf or the center of the flower. So you can see I've got week 1 is just 5 days, like June 1st through to the 5th. And the next week is a full 7 days. Next week is 7 days. So I'm kind of going by the calendar starting on June 1st. And I've got some smaller flowers, some larger flowers. And then at the end, I think June ends in the middle of the week. So it's just like 4 days on that week. And then I've done this really little flower with 1 leaf. So week 5. And there is my June mood tracker. We've laid it out in pencil. It couldn't be easier to draw, just a number of flowers. Remember, each day is represented by a shape like 1 petal or 1 leaf or the center of the flower. And then I'm just writing like week 1, week 2, week 3. I know trackers are a huge part of bullet journaling, and I love to do a mood tracker. And let me know in the comments, what kind of trackers would you like to see? Would you like to see a tracker every single month? Because that's something we could totally do. We could switch things up. Give me some ideas, some suggestions, and I will try to execute some of those throughout the next couple of months. At the bottom here, make your legend with your moods and color coding. You don't have to do just 4 like me. You could do 8 or 9 or whatever, and just add the colors. I'm using colors that I used in the rest of the layout for June, and I think that's going to be kind of pretty when it's all done, and it will help me know how I was feeling in my first month postpartum. Okay, just flipping back here, I decided to add a little bit more pen outline to my Dutch door cover, but then that is all done, and I think that's it for my June spread. As I said, I'm just trying to keep things like really manageable this month with a brand new baby. So simple mood tracker, nice big calendar where I can keep all my dates, and a weekly layout that I know is going to be really easy and achievable. And you know, you don't have to have a new baby to want an achievable and simple weekly layout. Remember, you can grab the cover page printable for yourself. That's available on my Patreon page if you want to support the channel. All the bonus content starts at $2 a month. Thank you for watching, and thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. I always love to share a course on Skillshare or a class that I think you would love, and this one is definitely up there. It's called Watercolor in the Woods, A Beginner's Guide to Painting the Natural World. The artist's name is Rosalie, and she has this beautiful cabin in the Appalachian Mountains. And I actually thought there was a lot of parallels with this channel, where she's trying to encourage your watercolor practice with simple supplies, things that are not super expensive, but that are, you know, quality. And she's just encouraging, and she has a really wonderful teaching style. And I think Painting the Natural World, as I say very often, it's a great place to start because you've got all these organic forms, and frankly, they're hard to mess up. So head over to Skillshare, check out Watercolor in the Woods or one of the many, many other classes. Remember, a Skillshare membership is less than $10 a month for an annual subscription. And remember, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity.